friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and I'm really excited. I'm so freaking excited because school is almost out and June is almost here and I have so many awesome, exciting booktube plans, reading plans. I can't wait for June. I can't wait for June. I'm tired of school. This does not bode well for the next couple years, but I am ready for summer and I can't wait to have fun. I miss reading for fun. I miss reading for fun as opposed to reading for school. Hey, it's Editing Amy here already in the video early on to tell you that this ends up being a pretty long video because I guess I haven't filmed in a while, so I'm just so excited to talk. And I am having a hard time editing a lot of it out because I also have a lot of things going on in June. So I have a lot of different books I'm talking about in this video. And so go ahead and look in the description box down below for timestamps and you can skip through. For those of you who want to hear me ramble, this is a good video for that. So before I get into my TBR, first I wanted to say that I have been going a little crazy with my book buying in the last couple of months, and I think it's because I can't read, and so I buy books instead. And you know, a lot of them have been books from Habitat for Humanity, so they haven't been very expensive, but I've noticed that I've been a little too free with myself with the whole book buying thing. So I am gonna go on a book buying ban over the summer. And the only time I'm allowed to spend money on books during my book buying ban, my summer-long book buying ban, is when I'm on vacation. And I haven't been doing any hauls because I don't typically do a lot of purchasing of books. However, I have so many books at this point that I purchased recently that I feel like I probably should do a haul. So if you're interested in seeing a haul, let me know in the comment section down below and I will think about doing that in June. Okay, next. I have thought about a couple of rule changes I want to do for my game. So my game, I've been loving it. It definitely does not allow for a lot of flexibility, but I've been okay with that because I've been having a lot of fun with that element of it. So there were two things I kind of wanted to change, especially since I'm getting towards the end. And I also have found that although I do try and get to the books that are on my TBR, and I do have great intentions to do it, sometimes I prioritize other books over them, especially like library books or books that I'm buddy reading. And don't come at me, Shell and Magda. What I was thinking to do as far as a punishment, because I wasn't going to give myself a punishment because I don't like the idea of adding extra books to my TBR on top of any extra books that I might have to add, because especially once school starts, my schedule gets really crazy as I've seen this past quarter. So I was thinking what I could do for a punishment instead is move backwards on the board. And this will get me further and further away from my goal of the finish line because I have not finished this game yet and it's completely eluding me. And also, since I'm going on a book buying ban, I can't buy any books until I land on either a space that allows me to buy books or I get to the finish line, which either allows me to buy books for myself or for you guys. So every book I don't read on my TBR, I will have to roll backwards for that. So like say if I didn't read 2 books on my TBR, I would have 2 backward rolls that I have to do. And that still counts as my regular gameplay. Like I'm not gonna be adding an extra spin. It's just that instead of moving forward on that spin, I have to move backwards. So it'll become more clear because I definitely didn't read all the books on my TBRs. The other rule I kind of wanted to clarify, implement, was for the final space. So for the final space, I put that I buy 2 books or give away 2 books to you guys. I haven't yet decided if that means I should be adding 2 books to my TBR because like the final space is supposed to be a reward. So I think that it means I purchase 2 books, don't necessarily have to read 2 books, or give you guys 2 books and still only have to read 1 book. So I think the final space is still gonna be a 1 book spot, even if I can purchase 2 books. And the other thing is that I think for that final space, since it's a reward and we're excited about it, I have to play the prompt that's on that spot, but I don't have to go with the diversity rep or the genre that I spin on because you know, I should get a little more freedom for that, you know, for winning the game. So I would have to do the final prompt, which is, let's see, either my most anticipated or library recommends, but for only 1 book. And it can be any genre, any diversity rep. There's no limitations as to what type of book it has to be. Okay, so those are my 2 new rules. And if you haven't seen all the rules for the game, because it's a pretty complex game, I like to make a challenge for myself, go ahead and check out my January video. The Game of a Bookish Life in January has all of my rules, all of the instructions for the game, and you can see where this all started. So I will link that up here and I will link it down in the description box below. So now, the Game of a Bookish Life. Let's recap what happened for me in May. My reading month in May actually went a little better than it did in April. Filming did not. So I figured with school and in the thick of school, I can either read or I can film. And so I can't really do both. And so April was a month where I got more videos out, but I didn't read that much. And now May was a book where I read a little more, but didn't get very many videos out. So I'm learning. I'm figuring out what's gonna work. Maybe this summer, hopefully I can get a few videos made so that come the fall, I have a few things that I can put out and not be so behind on videos. Cause yeah, I'm behind. So for role number 1, it was African Rep. And this was a book recommended by a booktuber. So for this, I went to my friend Liz from For Booking Out Loud. She had given Homegoing by Yajiasi really high reviews in her 2020, I think, top books list. And it's written by an author from Ghana and set partially in Ghana, so I thought this would be a perfect choice. And I did not read this yet. So I don't feel too bad about this. I am gonna take a punishment for it, which means I will have to roll backwards for one of my spins. So I'll be moving this to June for the book cover book club because the theme for that is bright yellow. And so I figured, oh, well, I got a bright yellow book that I wanna read anyway. So role number 2 was YA fantasy, and it was a random number generator from my Goodreads want to read YA fantasy list. And so for this one, I rolled Every Heart of Joy by Shauna McGuire. I was told that this is not a YA, so I just wanted to warn you that even though I used this and I read it as a YA, it's not technically a YA, and I can see why. It's pretty dark, but I still read it, so I don't have to take a punishment for that one. Role number 3 was adult horror thriller mystery, and this was a friend pick. And I asked my friend Evan if he could give me a suggestion. He doesn't read these types of books, so his mom actually was like, oh, I got a recommendation. So she recommended Still Life by Louise Penny. And I have not read this one yet, so I'm taking a punishment for this one. I really want to get to it, like in the next week. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, so like I said, I'm taking the punishment. It seems like a really quick read. The type of book it is, I think this would go pretty quickly. So if I can get to this, especially over Memorial Day weekend, I might try and do that, but we'll see. Role number 4 was adult fantasy My Choice, and this was perfect because I needed to read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb for my buddy read with Shell and Magda. And I did not read this. I will be taking a punishment for it. I have not yet finished Assassin's Quest. So this will be read in the beginning of June as quickly as I possibly can read it. And I have wonderful, sweet, kind, caring friends that love and support me and are not gonna kick my butt. I hope. I'm not manipulative at all. Sorry, okay, woo, it's warm now. All right, so role number 5 was adult sci-fi, and this was my choice, thank goodness. I needed a little more freedom this past month, and I chose Station 11 by Emily John St. Mandel. Emily St. John Mandel. And this was a buddy read with Katya from Katya Read Write Create. And it was my first time buddy reading with Katya, and we had a blast. Like, so much fun. This is an amazing book to buddy read, by the way. And we're not done yet. Like, I finished the book, I've read the book, I can't wait to talk to her. We'll be talking this weekend about it. I enjoyed this book a lot, but I think I even enjoyed it more because of the conversation we had. Like, some books lend themselves really well to buddy read. So make sure you buddy read because it is so much fun. It can be so much fun. Also, if you haven't checked out Katya's channel, please do so. She is very insightful. I love the opinion she has on books, and she's just very charming. She's a wonderful person. I have had a lot of fun getting to know her better, and so check out her channel, Katya Read Write Relate. Katya Read Write Create. I think I got this in the right order. I will put it down in the description box below, so it'll all be clear down there. All right, also I want to give you an update on what I'm currently reading. That's also part of my TBR, but not my Game of Bookish Life TBR. And I am almost done with Persuasion, which is a Down Memory Jane read. And I'm also buddy reading that with Martine from Just Martine. And if you haven't seen her channel, I also think you should check out Martine's channel. She is wonderful. She's so much fun. She's also a college student, so she understands the pain I've been going through lately. And it's been really nice getting to know her and talking about persuasion, because we both have a lot of strong feelings about where we want things to go and what we want to happen with the characters and what we feel about the different characters. So it's been fun chatting about this. And so on Persuasion by Jane Austen, I'm about 75% of the way through. I will be finishing that very soon because we have to talk about it this weekend. And then the other book that I'm currently listening to is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I'm listening to the free audiobook with Rosamund Pike, which actually is really good. I don't know how I'm gonna rate it on a second reread. I'm also reading this for the Down Memory Jane read along. I gave it 2 stars initially when I first read it. I like Jane Austen's writing. So like, I like her stories, but I really dislike all the characters in this book. Sense and Sensibility is one where I mean, maybe Eleanor's a little redeemable, but like, I just don't like any of the characters. So I struggle with this one because it's interesting, and yet I'm so irritated with everybody. Anyways, I gotta do a lot of deep thinking about Sense and Sensibility. And then finally, my shame book, Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I am very, very slowly reading this one. I love you, Shell. Thank you for being patient and a good friend, because it just hasn't. I mean, I'm gonna work on this a lot this weekend. I'm about halfway through, and this weekend I plan on spending a lot of time reading Robin Hobb. And now that all my library books are back at the library, I have a lot more. I don't have a lot of freedom. I don't have a lot of freedom. I still have a lot of school, but I can focus more solely on this book. So, all right. So before we get into our spins, let's take a look at the tallies. It looks like I'm pretty safe. I don't have too many things that I'm in trouble with. If I roll 3 or 4 a few times, then I might be adding a book. I'm really hoping that the game of a Bookish Life is nice to me this month. Actually, no, wait, what? I don't care. It's June. I don't care. It can give me whatever it wants. I'm excited. I'm going to be reading a lot in June anyways. Yes, give me all the extra books. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. So first spin is a punishment spin, which means I will be moving backwards, and I will be safe if I don't land on a 4. Fingers crossed. Spin number 1. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A book card. Of course it's a book card. Why wouldn't it be a book card? That's all I ever land on. But it's a nonfiction, so that's interesting. I actually have quite a few friends that read nonfiction. Let's see what kind of book card it is. This one right here. Oh, it's up to you guys. Oh, this will be fun. You guys get to choose. All right, spin number 1 is one of my favorite squares, apparently, because I always land on book cards. And it's so funny because I always land on book cards. Magda never seems to land on book cards. So it's just meant to be. I'm always meant to get recommendations from other people. And this time it's from you guys, which I'm really excited about. And you're going to be picking a nonfiction book for me. So I'm going to go in order from 1 to 3. And in the comment section down below, let me know if you want me to pick book number 1, book number 2, or book number 3. Book number 1 is Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad. And this is a book that I borrowed from my cousin Jenny, and I need to get it back to her. Thank you, Jenny, for lending me your book. I would like to get to it so that I can return it. This is a book that has you as a reader actively working to dismantle your own privilege. And I think it's actually like a workbook, kind of write journal things and you do stuff like that. And I mean, I guess the only issue with this is that I feel like I've been doing so much of this lately with school anyways. So that being said, I still want to read this. This is choice number 1. Got a text. Book number 2 is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin. I can't say her name. Book number 2 is Raiding. No, it's not raiding. Okay. Book number 2 is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Oh, I did it. Okay. And this is a book I've talked about before. I just didn't get a chance to read. I talked about it, I think, in my November TBR. This is a book about Robin Wall Kimmerer. She is a Western trained botanist, but she's a member of Citizen Potawatomi Nation. And so she has a lot of indigenous ways of knowing when it comes to indigenous foods and plants. And so she brings what she knows from her indigenous heritage as well as what she knows from her Western culture. And she combines those. And this is sort of an ecological look at the planet and also kind of more of a spiritual look as well. And I've heard amazing things about this book. I mean, such amazing things. I've been dying to read it, and maybe I'll be reading it in June. So if you want me to choose this one, put number 2 in the comment section down below. And finally, a book I've had on my TBR shelf, my owned TBR for a very long time, is Stiff by Mary Roach. And this is The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. So this is a book that's basically talking about the history of human cadavers and, you know, probably how scientists have used human cadavers and different interesting tidbits and facts. I haven't read any of Mary Roach's books. I have heard a lot of great things, just hasn't happened yet. And I'd like to get this off my shelf, you know, or at least out of my haven't read yet on my shelf. So if you think I should read this one, put 3 in the comment section down below. Spin number 2 is also a punishment spin because I have 3 punishments. So I'm going to be moving backwards again. 10. That's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Could I get further away? Oh dear. So this one is donate 2 books. Oh, that's exciting. So I get to donate 2 books. I'll try and find a good place to donate them to. A book set before 2000, YA Other. Okay, as you saw, spin number 2 was also a punishment. So I had to move backwards and I landed on donate 2 books, which I was really excited about because I haven't got a chance to land on a square like this quite yet. And also the prompt was pre-2000, so a book that was published before 2000, and it's YA Other. So for the donations for this, I decided to donate to this organization called Books Through Bars. And I'm really excited about this organization. They provide books to people who are incarcerated in prison, and they have been doing this for over 30 years, and they have actually a wish list. So I went to their wish list and I picked one book that I thought was a good development book, a book that would help people once they've left the system to try and get back on their feet. And the second book I chose was just a book that was a little more fun, something that would be a little more pleasurable. So a book that I chose for myself is actually a book you've seen recently. It was on my April TBR. It's called What Girls Learn by Karin. This was a book that I chose from a mini library. I randomly went to a mini library here where I live and I found a YA Other book. And this is a coming of age story about this young girl, this 12-year-old girl named Tilden and her younger sister Elizabeth. Their mom's getting in a different relationship, so they're moving around a lot. But at one point, their mom finds out she has a lump on her breast. These young children going through puberty, adolescence, and then also the struggle of knowing that their mom has breast cancer. Last punishment spin, spin number 3. 1. Okay, I don't have to go back too much further. Let's see. Book inspired by a random song. Oh, this is exciting. This one's so much fun. And this one needs to be by an Indigenous author. Spin number 3 was a diversity rep, so it's a book by an Indigenous author. And this was interesting because it's a book inspired by a random song. So I pulled up my Spotify, went to my favorites list, and I did a random spin, and this is the song I came up with. What's this? What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? It's all about snow. This was by Danny Elfman. This is What's This from Nightmare Before Christmas. The soundtrack to Nightmare Before Christmas is incredible. And so the book I decided to go for this one was Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig. So this is sort of a sci-fi post-apocalyptic book that is about a small Anishinaabe community, and everything all of a sudden goes dark. Winter is coming. Winter is about to start, so they're frightened and scared because how are they going to make it through this really harsh winter, and what can they do to survive? They're working together, but then they start getting visitors. Things have gone dark elsewhere, and people start to come into the community and probably want help, probably want shelter, sanctuary, and one visitor comes and then more visitors start coming, and what's this community gonna do to keep themselves safe? I really don't know anything aside from that, and I think that's fine because it sounds like the kind of book that I'd rather not know more details about, but I thought this was perfect because What's This is all about snow. All right, now I can finally go forward again. Spin number 4 is forward motion. 2, not very far. And of course, I'm going to do a book card again. Let's see. This is adult fantasy. Ooh, that'll be fun. There's quite a few in here that I haven't even got yet. You know, types. Okay, this one right here is... I swear it wasn't the same one. Look, there's tons of cards in here. I've got a bunch of cards and I end up with the same ones over and over again. All right, spin number 4. Finally, I can move forward again. Hopefully, I read all the books on my TBR next month so I can actually get to the finish line for a change and finish this game for once. We're already, coming up on June, half the year. So for this one, it's an adult fantasy and it's a you pick. I have 3 books that I would be equally excited to read, and I can't wait to see which ones you guys pick for me. So the first one is one that I was supposed to read in April again, and that's Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And I think that I mentioned in that video, or the second video, that I had initially thought this was a YA fantasy, but someone told me very clearly that it wasn't, and I went and looked up Erin Morgenstern's comments, and she said it is not a YA fantasy. So I'm putting this as an adult fantasy now, and I'm so excited to read this. It's a book about this circus that shows up at night, magically out of nowhere. You never know when or where it's going to show up. It's only at night. And there are these 2 characters that are basically in this competition, and they don't realize it's a competition for their life. They're both magicians, I think. They're both magicians, and they're competing against each other. But then, of course, they fall in love. Because why wouldn't they? And I can't wait to finally read Erin Morgenstern's book. So if this is your choice, put 1 in the comment section. Wait. Oh. I guess that is confusing, isn't it? Okay, let's try this again. So for the first set of books, yes. Okay, let's go back. For the first set of books, the nonfiction books, since that was spin number 1, you'd put 1 A, B, or C. And let me clarify. In the comment section, put 1 A if you think I should read Me and White Supremacy. Put 1 B if you think I should read Braiding Sweetgrass. And put 1 C if you think I should read Stiff by Mary Roach. So that's for the first set of choices. For the second set of choices, this is spin number 4. So 4A would be Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And then if you think I should read 4B, then you'd be voting for The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And I've been excited to read this one for a while. I got it as a gift from Amanda from Book Apple Tree, and she's been pretty inactive on her channel, but I really appreciated the fact that she gave me this book because it wasn't for her, and that was okay, so she passed it along. I just can't wait to read this. I've heard so many good things, and just the hype has been there for so long, and it just hasn't happened for me. And this is about a woman named Addie LaRue, and I think she is in danger of having to marry someone she doesn't want to. She makes a deal with the demon. She gets to live the rest of her life not aging or something along those lines, or she's like immortal. And the only caveat is that everywhere she goes, the second someone stops looking at her, seeing her, she falls out of their memory. So she never will be remembered by anyone until at one point she is remembered by someone. And I can't wait to see what all the hype's about. See if I'm as interested in it as most people are. Not everybody, but most people. And then if you choose 4C, you're voting for Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. So this is a book that has a setting that is inspired by pre-Columbian Americas. I think the main city in this is called Tova. And this is a book set during the winter solstice, or at least the winter solstice is coming up, and it is supposed to be happening during a solar eclipse, which is this incredibly rare event that is supposed to cause the unraveling of the world. Something huge is going to change. And I think we're following a group of characters that are like traveling to Tova for this event. I don't know anything else about it, and I have a feeling it's pretty complex. I mean, this really was a cover buy, honestly, because I think it's one of the most stunning covers I've seen. And I can't wait. I can't wait to read this book. So if you think I should read this one, put 4C in the comment section down below. Unless I roll a 4, this is the last spin, spin number 5. Let me do this hand. 1. Okay. Moving forward 1 spot. Random number generator of number of pages. All right, so last spin, didn't roll on anything that added books. Everything is looking good this month. Spin number 5 was a middle grade, and so that's a random number generator of number of pages. So for this one, I went to my random number generator. I chose between 50 and 400 pages for a middle grade book, and I ended up on 163. So I went to my Goodreads and I looked at my middle grade books, and the closest book, Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by Frank L. Baum, which is funny because it's gonna be June. It could have at least landed in July, so I could have Christmas in July. But nope, it was decided for June that I will be reading about Santa Claus's life. So it's really talking about the story of Santa Claus. And I put this on my TBR because of Martine from Just Martine, because she did this wonderful video. She read all these free Christmas books from Project Gutenberg, and she read 5 of them, I think. And then she talked about those books and how she felt about them. One of them that she really enjoyed was The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. So I put it on my TBR for Christmas time, and it ended up in June's. So this will be an interesting but short read, so that one shouldn't be too bad. And I will actually put Martine's video, her Christmas video, up there and down in the description box below. And so that was my spin. It was actually a pretty nice month. It wasn't too painful. And I'm excited to see what books you guys choose for me. I'm excited for the nonfiction. I'm really, really excited for the adult fantasy because I'm ready to get into some reading. I'm ready to enjoy my summer. Oh, you have no idea. I'm so excited. Now let's go into the other books that I need to read, the other readathons, buddy reads, things that I'm doing. And first we'll start with buddy reads. Hey, it's Editing Amy, and I'm here because there was a bit of a change that I had to make after filming the buddy reads section. So the first book I'll be reading is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I'll be reading this with Magda and Shell, and I'm super excited about this. This is the whole reason why I wanted to read the Realm of the Elderling series. I'm planning on reading this in the first half of June. And then in the second half of June, we're gonna be reading The Inheritance by Robin Hobb, which is a short story that takes place chronologically, at least in the Realm of the Elderlings series, between Ship of Magic and the Mad Ship. I think that's how it works. But, you know, like if you look at the Realm of the Elderlings series, that book comes next. Then we'll move on to the Mad Ship in July, the next month. The other book that I'll be buddy reading this month, which I'm really super excited about, is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And I'll be reading this with Liz from For Booking Out Loud. We haven't buddy read in a while, and I'm so excited that we're getting a chance to, because I can't wait to catch up with her. And if you get a chance, go ahead and check out her channel, because she has a brand new puppy. Cutest little thing ever. And if you're looking for some puppy content, go check out Liz's channel. She has a new vlog up there where you get to meet her puppy. But I've heard amazing things about this by most people. I've heard that the first part of it's a little confusing, and so maybe it takes a little while to get into, but once you get into it, it's incredible. And this is about the end of the world, again, is what it says. One thing happens where this woman named Essen's husband kills their son and kidnaps their daughter, and she doesn't know what happened to them. And the second thing is that the civilization of Sanzi collapses. And then the third thing is that there's this continent of stillness that has this huge rift that like rips through the land, and it causes a whole bunch of ash and stuff to spew. So those are the 3 major things that happen like in one day that I guess start what happens in this. And this is adult fantasy and sci-fi, so I'm just so excited. So next, in the beginning of the month, I'm gonna be doing the Buzzwordathon. I'm actually gonna try and do it the first week of the month, like you're supposed to, technically. What I've been doing in the past is just making sure I read one book that has the theme or title in it. And so this month, the theme is name or title. So it's not a specific name or title, but it like is Mrs., Mr., person's name of some sort in the title. The first book that I'm going to be reading, I'm going to be doing this during the first week of the month, is Lasher by Anne Rice. I had read The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, The Mayfair Witches, over the past 6 months. And I finally finished it in April. I had bought this for like a quarter or something like that. And I think that I will get through it much faster if I read it as opposed to listening to the audiobook. Even though The Witching Hour was fairly middle of the road for me as far as ratings go, I did like it. There were parts that I really enjoyed, and there were parts that I just wasn't as crazy about. I'm still excited to continue on the series. This has the name Lasher in it, who is the spirit that the Mayfair witches summon, in a sense. And so it's kind of going on and talking about him and his life and his existence and then what happens. I am excited to read this for a couple reasons. For one, it works for the Buzzwordathon. Secondly, we are going to Louisiana, New Orleans, in the 3rd week of June. I'm super excited. It's my first vacation in, since COVID times. We're going to be very careful. We're going to be very cautious. We're all vaccinated, including my wonderful nephew, Nathaniel. He called in and made his own appointment to get vaccinated when he could, so he's super excited. And so we're all going to be vaccinated. We're all going to be wearing masks and doing all the things we need to do to be safe. But we needed just time away, time to recuperate. It's mostly going to be a relaxing trip. Of course, we're going to eat a lot of good food, but we're kind of just like excited to go and read. And so one of the things I want to do is read books that were set in New Orleans. And so I'm going to be reading Lasher. This will kind of get me in the mood for New Orleans. And then Shell's going to bring a whole bunch of, I can't remember what series it was. Shall put in the comment section down below if you can what the name of the series that you're going to be bringing with you, which is one of her favorite urban fantasy series that is set in New Orleans. So she's gonna bring it with her. We're gonna binge read that while we're on vacation in New Orleans, because why not? Nathaniel can swim in the pool while we all binge read these books. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about New Orleans. So anyways, this works for Buzzwordathon. The other book that I'll be reading during the Buzzwordathon week is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, because that works as well, by Frank L. Baum. So those are my 2 Buzzwordathon books. Next, I want to talk about my Trash My TBR books, because I told you I have to read those books if I want to not have to get rid of them off my TBR. And so I am going to be reading 2 books this month. I'm going to be doing a 48-hour Trash My TBR readathon for myself, just my own little 48-hour readathon. The first book I'll be reading is Medea by Euripides, and this one is a play, a dramatic play, which I'm super excited about, and it's a very short, should be a nice little taste into my Trash My TBR. And because then the second book I'm going to be reading is the Iliad by Homer. I felt it was appropriate to read Medea and Iliad at the same time. I'll start with Medea and then I'll go into the Iliad, and this is a chunker, so I don't think I'll be able to finish this in 48 hours, but I can at least make a really good dent on this one. So next I want to talk about Down Memory Jane, which is this read along I've been participating in. I will put all the information in the description box down below, and for this I'll be reading A Recipe for Persuasion by Sonali Dev, and this is a retelling. And the retelling is about Chef Ashna Raje. She's trying to save a restaurant by going on this reality show called Cooking with the Stars. And so I think it's amateurs cooking with stars. I don't have any idea how this relates to persuasion, but apparently it's a retelling, and I'm excited to check it out. Next is my nonfiction book club read for the month, my real life nonfiction book club. And for that, I'll be reading The Future of the Mind by Michio Kaku. This I'm really excited about because I read Einstein's Cosmos a couple of months ago, and it was a 5-star read. I loved it. And so I'm excited to read more of Michio Kaku's writing and see if I really enjoyed him as an author or I just loved that story. And so this is about this brain scanning technique that was created by physicists. And they're hoping with this new technique, they could learn more about the mind, learn more about the brain. There's so much we don't know about the brain. I'm excited to find out what this is all about and discuss this with my book club. Next, during the week of the 13th through the 19th of June, the Book Covered Book Club, which is this wonderful new book club idea created by Caitlin E. over at the Lit Review, is going to be doing a theme of bright yellow covers. So I'm excited about this one because it's 1 week of reading books with bright yellow covers. This gives me a chance to read Homegoing by Yad Jassi, and it gives me a chance to reincorporate The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna onto my TBR, because I was supposed to read this also in April. And April was a rough month, and it has bright yellow on it. Finally, let me talk quickly about the readathons that I'm going to be doing this month, because I'll be doing 2 of them, and they're month-long readathons. The first one is the Box Office-a-thon, and this is being hosted by Antonisha Lachey over at Mrs. Moody Reader. And she has this really fun game called the Box Office TBR, which is based off this board game called Box Office, and is about movies and stuff, but she's created a TBR game out of it. And so she will be doing kind of the same thing as Becca from Becca in the Books did. She will be dropping the prompt as she plays the game throughout the month. So the first week she'll do the first prompt, the second week she'll do the second prompt, and we'll kind of go through, I think there'll be 4 prompts in total. Hopefully the books I already have on my TBR, I can work through the prompts that she comes up with, because I have a lot of books on my TBR. But I'm even more excited about this because I'm going to be participating not only as an active readathon, but also I will be going on her reading sprints. My first time doing reading sprints, my first time doing live anything. So I'm excited, I'm nervous, and I'm really, really appreciative that she's gonna be having me on her channel to do these live sprints. And so the first Saturday, and I think the second Saturday, I'm gonna be doing the live reading sprints with her. I don't know for sure, but if you go ahead and check out her channel, you'll find out all the information you need to know. And then you can come sprint with us and come join the readathon, because it's gonna be a lot of fun. Finally, I'll be doing the Whatever You Want-a-thon hosted by Maddie from Book Browsing Blog. And this is a month-long readathon where you get to basically read whatever you want. So it's perfect because all my books on my TBR will work for it. There are ways that you can earn points. There are teams. I'm on a team, and you can get extra points with all the books by making sure the books have certain things. Or you can just read books that you have and get points that you're supposed to get for reading whatever books you read. I'm going to be doing a separate video for that, my Whatever You Want-a-thon TBR, which basically will have all these books on it, but I'll kind of go a little bit over how they fulfill the prompts and stuff. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out for it. Hopefully I'll have that to you soon. And I'll be vlogging most of the month. So you're gonna get to see everything that's going on because I've been honestly missing vlogging. So if you're not a big fan of vlogging, I'm sorry, but I've been craving vlogging, so I'm gonna be vlogging for most of the month of June, especially since I'm doing so many different things. That's at least like 13 to 15 books. That's a lot of books. I don't know if I'm gonna get everything done, but I'm gonna try to get my TBR books done because I don't wanna have to keep rolling backwards. I wanna finish my game, and there's a very good chance I could finish it next month. Wish me good luck, that I will have a good month. I'm going to be doing Magda's spins next, so stay tuned for that. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe now so you can find out all about my June and how everything goes, and so you can find out what my TBR is for whatever you want-a-thon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Okay, so Magda's close to the end. We left off at Grandma Mona 1936. If we land on a 9, she'll have an extra spin. And also her other numbers are starting to get kind of filled up. So like 1, 3, and 7 all have 3 tallies on them. Spin number 1. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! We ended up at the finish line. At this point, I need to roll a 1 through 5 to see if she goes to Countryside Acres. A 6 through 10 tells us if she's going to Millionaire Estates. So let's see. Big spin, big spin. 10. Magda is going to Millionaire Estates, which means that a library recommends her book. Usually there's a section that has like librarian recommendations, and I was going to kind of go through there and see if I could find a book off of my TBR. And so that's your first one, Magda. And hopefully the library has something good for you to read. Okay, so to determine if she's going to college first, I need to spin a 1 through 5. And if she's going to career, I will be spinning a 6 through 10. So let's see where Magda's going. Magda's starting from career, and she has an extra spin. Just a quick reminder, because I don't think I made it clear here, the reason she's getting an extra spin is not because she landed on 9, because that's not counted since we didn't move forward. The reason she's getting an extra spin is because anytime you start with career first, you get an extra spin. So we'll have 6 spins for this one, and let's spin to see where she goes from here. 1, not very far, Magda. Career card. Okay, so let me pull out my career cards. And also to remind you, from this section here, all the way through here, the career section, any books, like even though it landed on a 1 and that's middle grade, any books in this section are all adult books. Magda, what's your job gonna be? Magda is going to be a teacher. Oh, like me. Perfect. Basically, what she needs to do is pick an adult book, any type of adult book, that is inspired by teaching, has a teacher as a main character, was written by a teacher, something having to do with it. Maybe it's set in a school, dark academia. Anything about it has to do with teaching or a teacher in some way. Spin number 3. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gifted book, and that is nonfiction. Oh, Magda. Yeah, that's a fun one. I know you love nonfiction. Although you've been adding more nonfiction to your list now. We'll get some of those read. How's that sound? Spin number 4. 1 again. Wow, these 1s. Okay, well, let me tell you something. It just so happens that that's your 5th spin on number 1, Magda. So you're gonna have 7 spins now. So spin number 4 is a book with winter vibes that is written by an Indigenous author. Oh, I probably can think of some good suggestions for this one. All right, so for spin number 4, Magda got Indigenous author and a book with winter vibes. So for that, she has quite a few options, obviously whatever she decides to go with, but I wanted to throw out a few options for her. One is the book that I'm reading on my TBR, which is Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig. Or she could read a very popular one, which is Winter Counts by David Heska Wanbley-Wyden. Or a very, very popular one is A Lot's Way by Darcy Little Badger. I think that has winter vibes. Okay, spin number 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're stopping at stop. This is a book about love, romance, or has a prominent relationship. Classics. That shouldn't be too hard. There's a lot of love and romance in classic novels. In fact, I've been reading quite a few right now with all the Jane Austen stuff I've been reading. Spin number 6. Oh, we're checking to see if we can move past the stop sign. So, to remind us, If I roll a 1 through 5, she stays in the stop sign and she uses that prompt with the 1 through 5. 6 through 10, then she gets to go past stop and we have to re-roll. And so we rolled on a 9, which means that we can pass stop. So we're gonna roll again. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Book with a rural setting, and this is Asian representation because it's a diversity prompt. So a book with Asian representation, meaning an author that's Asian, a main character that's Asian, set in an Asian country, and it's a book with a rural setting. I bet you could even do like space opera or something written by an Asian author that's set out in outer space or something. I mean, technically, it's one of the most rural settings. Roll number 7. It all depends on whether or not we land on that 9. Okay, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. No, we didn't land on the 9. And you are good with the 3. Okay, let's see what we got. 1, 2, oh. I guess you're not good, Magda, because this is +1 book. This is a book with a 1-word title, and it's South American rep. For spin number 7, I'm going to suggest Zorro by Isabel Allende, and this is a Chilean author. I don't know too much about her. She actually has quite a few books, and a few other books that are 1-word titles, so check her out, Magda. Shell recently read one of her books, and she really enjoyed it, so maybe she'd be a good option. Spin number 8. 10. Oh, so close to that 9. Okay, you're good with 10. 1, 2, and we're stopping here. So this is YA Other Book I Own. So a book that you own that is a YA, anything other than fantasy. All right, so those are Magda's spins. Wish her a lot of luck because she's doing the Whatever You Want-a-thon as well. And she said something to me like she has 50 books on her TBR. And Magda can do it. But still, 50 books, that's incredible. And so hopefully these work or can work with your TBR, Magda, or these can kind of squeeze in there a little bit. I hope you have a good reading month. I hope everyone has a good reading month. Thank you so much for watching.